What's good, everyone? Welcome back to the Undiluted Media YouTube page. My name is Anish Dogra, and I'm going to be taking you through everything with Liverpool this season. So we've got a lot of things to go through. You know, the start of the season, some form with with a lot of the new players, the form of Harvey Elliott, the absence of Thiago, and many issues that are surrounding the club after the first few games of the season. So to start with, let's talk about the start of the season. So it's been a good start, I'd like to say. 7 points in 3 games. You can't really complain about that. A really good win against Norwich on the opening day, winning 3-0. Salah scoring and making 2 others. And then Burnley the following week as well. Everything looked really good in that game. Harvey Elliott had a really good performance, and looked like he'd been playing for the club for about 5-10 years. And then Mane as well scoring in that game. And then, of course, the match against Chelsea, which ended 1-1. So overall, you can't really complain too much about the points that the club, the points that Jurgen Klopp's men have taken, and where they situate right now after three games into the season. So, of course, now we've got we've got the international break, so a few weeks without any Premier League football. But after the break, I think we're up against Leeds, which will be a really tough match at Ellen Road as well. Last season we drew 1-1. I think they scored a late equaliser, and with fans back in this season, we've seen so many results and so many performances from the home team be a lot better than what they were last year. So against that raucous crowd, it will be a really tough game. So hopefully, we get the 3 points in that game, and we can kick on and carry on our pursuit for the title. So that leads me though to the game against Chelsea. Now, it was a bit of an annoying one, if I'm being totally honest. Like, before the game, if you told me the game would end 1-1, I'd be like, yeah, fine, no problem. A point against your rivals is always a decent result. But having firstly come from behind, to show good character and force the penalty, that was really pleasing. But then to obviously get back level before halftime, and then not take advantage after Reece James received that red card wrongly, in my opinion. I think that the penalty in itself was the right call, but I don't think sending him off was. I think sending him off was the incorrect decision, because if you look at the way he prevented the ball from going to the net. He initially blocked it with his knee, and then the movement of the hand was just like a panic reaction from the youngster. So the red card was really harsh. Even still, 10 men. We had the whole of the second half to try and get the winner in front of the Cobb as well. So it was a little bit disappointing that we couldn't get that winning goal. So, honestly, I wish, had we gone into that, had we finished that game with the win and 9 points out of 9, and really laid down that marker against one of our biggest rivals in Chelsea, it would have made a really good impression, amongst everyone else in the league, that Liverpool are serious. They're back. They're going to challenge for the title again. But overall, you can't really complain too much. A draw is okay enough, and it's still so early in the season. There's going to be many teams, many of the top teams dropping points, even though a lot of them have strength in this season. So I'm not going to complain too much about that. Now, talking about strengthening, that's something that I don't think Liverpool have done well enough over the course of the transfer window. Now, we made a really good start by bringing in Ibrahim Konate from RB Leipzig for about 35 million right at the start of the window. In fact, that deal was done so early. I think David Ornstein from The Athletic initially reported that back in March or April. So to basically signing one of the best up-and-coming centre-backs 4 or 5 months ago, to not having signed anyone else after that much time, it's a bit annoying, especially as we've lost Gini Wijnaldum. That's a huge blow. Like, I really thought that was an area where we had to reinforce, especially given that we have so many. Whilst we might have a lot of players in that midfield area, a lot of them are very injury prone. Oxlade-Chamberlain barely plays anymore, and when he does, he doesn't look like the same player as he was when he first joined. Navigator's made of glass, like I think we all know that. James Milner in his late 30s now, so he can't be relied upon too much, and that basically leaves us with Thiago, who is a bit unfortunate, who hasn't really settled in as well as everyone would like. I think that injury he suffered against Everton last season, at the beginning of last season, really set him back. He looked quite good in his first few games, and then with that, devastating injury which set him back a few months, it's taken a bit more longer for him to really show what he can do. There was a reason why Bayern were desperate to keep him, and why so many clubs were linked with him after he didn't want to sign the new contract. So hopefully we see the best of him. But again, it's not been a seamless transition since he's arrived at Liverpool. And then who else we got? We got Jordan Henderson, who fantastic that he's fit now, but it seems that he also he's obviously the odd injury, like the odd big injury every now and then. I think last season he missed the last 2 months of the season. I think he missed April, May, and he basically missed the entirety of the Euros for England. He played a couple of games here and there, and he basically he had to miss most of the games for England, and we all hope that he has an injury-free season. Well, I hope especially, but again, he's another one who could have injury doubts. So that basically leaves us with Fabinho as the only midfielder who really is someone who can basically make 50, 60 games a season and we don't have many worries about him. So losing Wijnaldum and having those injury doubts over so many of the players is a bit concerning. And then when you compare the only signing we've made compared to all the other clubs in the Premier League and across Europe, it does make me think that we might not have as good a chance as the others to win the title. Of course, you're looking at Chelsea. They already had a really, really good team. They made about 3 or 4 signings last summer, bringing Havertz, Werner, Thiago Silva, Ben Chilwell, I think, as well, a few others too, and then bringing in Tuchel, replacing Lampard. He came in, he did a fantastic job, won the Champions League after 3 or 4 months in the job, and not only that, the style of play, he's really drilled them really, really well. They're such a tough team to get past, as we found out as we found out last week. Even with an extra man, we still couldn't get past that defense. And of course, the midfield options, they have Kante, Kovacic, Mason Mount, and now they've got Saul. It looks like it. I think a deal is really close between them and Atletico Madrid. It looks like he's going to be coming in for the season on loan, and it'll only cost him 5 million euros, which is a really, really good deal. He's been one of Atletico's best players over the last few years under Diego Simeone, so that's a really good acquisition. And then up front, you've got Kai Havertz, Timo Werner, who people say he's an he misses so many chances, but if you look at his assists last season, he actually had, I think, one of the highest numbers in the Chelsea team. He had about 15, I want to say, something around that. Pulisic as well is in and around the team, and of course, their big man Romelu Lukaku, 97 million or 98 million, however much it was. He's going to be a brilliant player for Chelsea. That's basically the missing piece in that team. They needed an out-and-out goal scorer because they've got so much creativity around the team, and now they have him. They should be a real favorite to win the title. That game against Arsenal, it was literally men against boys. Chelsea could have played that game with 10 men and they would have won. They would have won 2-0. And in the second half, they just literally they didn't have to play. They just needed to pass the ball around and they knew the game was won. And you'll be looking at Manchester United as well. They've made some really, really great signings. Bringing in Jadon Sancho, something they really needed to bring in, an actual out-and-out right winger. Because when you look at that team, they've got Rashford, who is quite similar to Mane and Salah in the terms of he's more of a wide forward, where he'll play on the wing, but he's looking to score more and get in the box rather than create and get assists and stay out wide. Same with Anthony Martial. He's been used as striker for the majority of the time, but again, he's someone who plays on that left wing quite a lot. And then you look at Bruno Fernandes, attacking midfielder, someone who scores more than he actually creates. He scores a lot of free kicks, takes the penalties. And then they got Cavani as well, and then Mason Greenwood too. Again, someone quite similar to Rashford. He can play on the wing, but is much more of a finisher than he is a playmaker or creator. So bringing in Jadon Sancho is a really, really good move for them. An actual out and out winger, someone who'll put balls into the box. He'll supply Greenwood, he'll supply Cavani. So bringing him in is brilliant. Rafa Varane, that's an incredible signing. I don't know why other clubs weren't thinking about going in for him. Arsenal particularly, he cost £7 million less than Ben White, and he's someone who's won it all. World Cup winner, Champions League multiple times, La Liga multiple times, several domestic cups as well. He's going to be a fantastic signing for United, and we saw in his debut against Wolves how much of an impact he already made. I think there was one moment where Adama Traore got into the box and he covered the ground superbly. He knew when to go, what kind of tackle to make, and he just stopped the chance from ever materializing. So that's a brilliant signing. And then of course Cristiano Ronaldo coming back, unbelievable. We all thought, 3-4 days ago, that's it, it was a done deal. He was going to Man City. He was going to be a traitor to Manchester United fans, and he was going to score a 90th minute winner in front of the Stretford end. That would have been quite hilarious for as a Liverpool fan. But in the space of 24 hours, I don't know who convinced him or who changed his mind. Maybe he realized that he couldn't go to Man City, but that's it. He's back at United, so that's an incredible appointment from the club. How they managed to pull that off is quite remarkable. So really fair play to them, and also I don't really mind it. Although they're our biggest rivals, and we don't like them, they don't like us. It's great to have some of the competitors competitors for the title. The last few years, if I'm being totally honest, even the year we won it, the league title races have been absolutely rubbish. It was Man City in the Centurion season. They finished about 20 points ahead of second place. Then the following year they won it again. They were on 98, we were on 97. But if you look at the team that finished in third, I think it was Chelsea. They finished on 70 points or something like that. So again, there was no real race there. And then of course the year we won it, finished about 20 points clear of Man City. And then of course last season City winning again, finishing about 12, 13 points clear of United in second place. So to have us obviously still in the mix and having Van Dijk back, Gomez, Joel Matip, Konate bolstered it in that defense. We should be a lot stronger at the back and hopefully can mount a challenge this time around. Chelsea with Lukaku, and then Man City with Ronaldo, Varane, and Sancho, and then of course Manchester City. The champions. We've got to give them a lot of respect. They're the best. They've been the best team in the country for the last 9 or 10 months for a reason. They've been the most consistent. They've got one of the best managers in the world, one of the best teams in the world, and of course they broke the British transfer record to bring in Jack Grealish. So having a player of that quality is fantastic. And whilst they might be annoyed that they didn't get a striker, we saw against Arsenal and we saw against Norwich the week before. Yeah, I know they're not those two aren't the most formidable opponents, but they scored for fun. They could have scored 7, 8, or not, maybe even 9 in both of those games. Ferran Torres looked really, really good. It looks like he's after a year in the Premier League, it looks like he's coming into fruition more, and he's more experienced in the league. And then there's still players coming back. Kevin De Bruyne still got a few issues with injuries, but he'll slowly get back into fitness. Raheem Sterling, after the Euros he had, he's one of England's, if not in my opinion, England's best player over the tournament. He'll be great for Pep Guardiola this season. And then defensively as well, they got Ederson still in goal. Ruben Diaz and John Stones look like a really good partnership. Aymeric Laporte, we all thought he was he'd be leaving this summer, but he's staying at the club. So having him in the club is still brilliant. Gundogan had a great season last year. Rodri is really, really good. So again, they're going to be real strong favorite for the title. And again, the transfer they've made with Grealish, it's going to be really great. And then if we look across Europe as well, for the Champions League, PSG, where to start with them? I think they probably had the best transfer window in all time, in my opinion. Bringing in Donnarumma for starters. They've already got Keylor Navas, who's still a more than decent keeper. Bringing in Donnarumma, who won the UEFA Euro 2020 player of the tournament. That for a keeper to win that award, it must be that he's quite special. So that's a brilliant signing right there. Sergio Ramos, the experience that he'll bring to that team, for so long and for far too often, a lot of people have said that every PSG team in the past few years have been too naive. They don't know how to shut games out, how to stop the opposition. Having Ramos in that defense, someone who knows it all, won it all, been there, done that, got the t-shirt, he'll know how to drill that defense. In midfield, bringing in Gini Wijnaldum, it all seemed certain that he'd be going to Barcelona, but then in the 11th hour, they came in and managed to steal in and bring in again a really, really experienced player. Someone again knows the game very, very well. So versatile, you can pretty much do everything. Pretty much do anything you ask him for. So that's a fantastic signing. And then he also Hakimi as well. Great signing from Inter Milan. He's often been used as a wing back. He was deployed as a right midfielder for Antonio Conte's team as they won the title last season for Inter Milan. So he's got that versatility of playing in at right mid and even at right back where he started there as at Real Madrid, and then he often played at Borussia Dortmund whilst on loan in Germany. And then of course out of nowhere bring in Lionel Messi, the greatest player in the world in my opinion, and the greatest player of all time for me at least. Somehow bringing him in when it seems certain that Barcelona were about to announce his contract extension, and even beating up interest from so many other clubs around Europe. Juventus, Manchester City would have all been interested in bringing Messi to the club, especially Man City with Guardiola and the relationship that they had. I think that's an incredible signing from them. And then when you couple him with the talent they've already got, Neymar's still there, Di Maria is still there, Icardi is a fairly decent striker, and of course Kylian Mbappe, who, although it's almost certain that he's going to leave, having him for another season is going to be it's going to be absolutely awesome to watch. And very frightening for the opposition defenders. Imagine seeing Messi, Mbappe, Di Maria, and Neymar come against you. You'd be frightened to death. So yeah, whilst he looks like he's going to leave for free next summer, and in fact he almost looked very likely to leave for Real Madrid during this transfer window, having him for 12 months will surely help put PSG over that line in winning their first Champions League. So transfers, both at Liverpool and for everyone across Europe has been really interesting, and we'll just wait to see what happens. Now, whilst contracts whilst signings rather have been very quiet for our end, contracts have been really, really great. We've signed since the start of the new season. I think we've tied down 5 or 6 first team players to long-term deals. Henderson was just announced today. That's a great move by the club. Initially at the beginning of the window, it looked like he was about to leave after the talks had stalled. But thankfully, apparently Jurgen Klopp played a pivotal role in making sure that a deal was agreed. And especially after losing Wijnaldum and then losing Henderson, it would have been a massive blow, to lose 2 key players in our team. So Henderson on a long-term contract, I think he's signed until 2025. That's massive. So I think it'll take him up to 34 or 35 years old. So fantastic to see him signing a new deal. Then there's, I think, Andy Robertson signed a new contract, Fabinho signed a new contract, Alisson, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Virgil van Dijk. I think Mane's about to sign a new contract very soon. Salah's about to sign a new contract very soon. So on the other hand, it might be disappointing to not see more new faces kind of coming to the door. Keeping a hold of what you've already got, I think, is far more important. This is a team who've won it all over the last few years. They've broken so many records. They've won so many plaudits up and down the country. So it's a really great move by the club to tie all of our great players down to new deals. So whilst it's brilliant to have all these new contracts, it's still very important to make sure that some of the players who haven't made as great an impact as they should have, become a little bit more used to our style. So Thiago hasn't made the impact as we'd have liked, but given that he's providing that he can stay injury free this season, and having support in the ground, it'll hopefully lead to a much better campaign from him. He's had a bit of a setback already this season. I think he had to miss a preseason game with a minor injury, but he's been back on the bench for the last few weeks, and he came on against Chelsea for a brief period. I think he came on for about 20 minutes, and as well, I think he was called up to Spain squad. So having him at Kirkby in our training ground for the next 2 weeks, getting up to speed, getting all of Jurgen Klopp's information into him, and understanding what he wants from the Spaniard, I think will be really great. So again, we hope for a good season from him. Same with Sadio Mane, someone who's been unbelievable since Klopp came in. He's been probably, in my opinion, one of our most important player. If you look at the debut season he had, I think he got about 13 or 14 goals in the league that helped us get top 4. The following year, he got about 10 goals in the Champions League that helped us get to the final. And then the following season, he won the Golden Boot, and the year after, he helped us win the Premier League. So he's been a great player for us. And that's why I was really disappointed to see the season that he had last year. I think he only got about 10 to 15 goals in all competitions. But not only that, he just didn't look like himself at all. Every touch he made was a bad touch. Every pass went astray. Every dribble didn't look like it didn't come off, and every shot looked like going into row's end. So again, I really hope for a big season from him, and I think he started fairly well. He was really good against Norwich. Although he didn't score, he looked like he backed in his old self. That unpredictability. Which way is he going to go? Is he going to go left? Is he going to go right? You just don't know what he'll do next. So he looked really good against Norwich. Against Burnley, he got his goal, which was fantastic. It was a really great finish. A finish from the Mane of old. Instinctive first time. He knew what he wanted to do, and he struck it to perfection. And against Chelsea, he was heavily involved in winning that penalty. I think it was his shot that was blocked by Reece James, which led to our pen. So again, I really hope for a big season from him, and I do think he'll have a big season. If you look at Liverpool in general, we're a team who really need the atmosphere of Anfield. We need that support from the 50,000 inside the ground every week, and it's something that I think he missed a lot last season. I think in general, us as a team missed a lot last year. So having that support in the ground, I think it will lead to a really big season from him this year. And that being said, though, I still think we should have and perhaps could have strengthened in a few more positions. Hopefully having a fully fit Mane this season will help us win the Premier League or the Champions League or an FA Cup or League Cup this season. Same with Bobby Firmino and Mo Salah. Diogo Jota started very, very well, but I still think we should have added one more in that position. If you look at that front three, Salah, Mane, and in my opinion, I think Jota's replaced Firmino in that front three. I think they're as good as attacking lineup as any in the league and in Europe. I don't think anyone can deny that. both in terms of quality, at the top end of the pitch, but also the work rate they have, the pressing and the aggression they show to try and win the ball back and to drop in, when a team needs help defensively, they're a nightmare for opposition. But then if you look at the drop off from that, you've got Firmino, of course, still really important and really, really integral to the team, both in terms of that link between the midfield and the attack. He plays those really great passes into Mane and Salah, and of course he helps out a lot defensively. But then from there you've got Divock Origi. I can't believe I'm saying his name in a Liverpool show. We're in 2021. I'm pretty sure we signed him like 6 or 7 years ago now. How is he still playing for us? But yeah, Divock Origi is still there, and I will always be grateful for him for what he did in 2019. That goal against Everton when Jordan Dinosaur Baby Arms Pickford, literally dropped it on his head. Countless late goals in that season. There was one at Newcastle away. Then, of course, that double against Barcelona to help us overturn that 3-0 deficit. Yes, I'm going to talk about it. Okay, I'm a Liverpool fan. And, of course, that goal in the Champions League final. So he's had some really great memories for me to cherish for the rest of my life, and I'll always be grateful for him. But he's basically living off that now. I feel like we're in 2021 now. He didn't have the greatest of second seasons. Like, he had some good moments off the bench, and he had a couple of good moments, a couple of good goals during that season. But he didn't look like. He didn't contribute that much last season. That season, the title winning campaign, and then last year, my God, he was. I think he scored 1 goal. I need to check this right now because I'm pretty sure Divock Origi scored 1 goal last season, and I think it was in the League Cup against Lincoln. I want to say I think it was in a 7-1 game or 7-2. So right, Divock Origi, 2020-2021 season. Oh my God, he got 1 goal. Oh no. He played 17 games in all competitions, 9 in the Premier League, 4 in the Champions League, 2 FA Cup games, and 1 EFL Cup game. He got 1 goal and 1 assist in the 2 EFL Cup games and 1 assist in the Champions League. And in fact, I remember that assist. It was against RB Leipzig, I think, in the second leg. That was the Divock Origi of what I know he can do, but he just doesn't do it enough. So him still being at the club is really disappointing because he's someone he's clearly got talent, because the goals he scored in at his time at Liverpool, they've been really, really good goals. So he's clearly got the talent there. It's just whether he wants to bring that talent out, whether he can be bothered to do it. And sadly, it doesn't look like he wants to do it enough. So there's him, Xherdan Shaqiri, left for Lyon. Understandably, of course, he was approaching 30 years old. He had a year left on his contract, so I think we got 9.5 million for him. So good business overall from the club, and he is now at an age where he needs to be playing regularly. He's still one of Switzerland's best players. So for him to be playing regular first team football in France is fantastic for him, and again, someone I'll always cherish for, that assist for Wijnaldum, Wijnaldum's second goal against Barca, a brilliant game-changing assist, and a lot of other moments that he's contributed to in the 3 years he was at Liverpool. Sacking Jose Mourinho, that was a beautiful day. That deflected double as well. Pure shithousery. It was fantastic. That double to get Mourinho sacked was great. So he's gone, and wish him the best of luck. And then, of course, there's a few French players coming into the team. Cade Gordon had a pretty good pre-season with the club, and he's staying at least for the next few months until the January window comes along. So we'll see if he can make any impact in the cup games, and if we have another injury crisis. But if you're relying on the front three, fine. Firmino, fine. But then Divock Origi, 1 goal last season, and a teenager in Cade Gordon, then I think you're looking at a really hopeful season, in the sense that you pray that none of those main 4 men get any serious injuries, and in despite of that, providing touch wood they don't get any injuries this season. we're still going to struggle in January because Mane and Salah are both heading off for the African Cup of Nations. So having got two of our best players out of the team for at least a month, it's going to be a real blow. So we're going to have to hope that Firmino is firing again, and he's out for the next few weeks with a hamstring injury. I think there were some reports last night saying that he was going to be out for 3 or 4 months, and that would have been devastating. But I think those are rubbish, and he should only be out for a couple of weeks. So we got an international break now, which is ideal. So we have to hope that he gets back fully fit and is firing by the time Salah and Mane head off for their matches. Jota as well. We hope that he'll be fully firing, and of course hoping that Divock Origi does something. But again, it's all hopeful. So we really probably should have reinforced in that attacking position. But we'll wait and see. We can complain as much as we want over the transfer window about not getting the targets we want, but we can only really analyze and judge where we went wrong at the end of the season. And so far, we can't really complain. So with that being said, though, that's another player who I hope that will have a big season and could potentially fill the void when Mane and Salah go off with Egypt and Senegal. Is Harvey Elliott, someone who's made a really great start to the season. He looked really good in preseason, playing in that midfield role. I left him out on purpose earlier on just so I can purely talk about him now. So again, he's someone who's initially played a lot at right wing. I think he played the majority of his games in that position for Blackburn Rovers last season, where he spent the year out on loan. And then for Liverpool this season so far, he spent most of his time in that central midfield role, on the right of the midfield three, which is quite an interesting move from Klopp. An 18, 19-year-old kid, however old he is, to give him that trust to play in that position. It's arguably, in fact, it's definitely the toughest place to play in that Liverpool team, because you're having to do everything, and you're going to have to be Mr. Engine Man in that position. You'll have to track back, you'll have to bump ball, you have to provide overloads on the right or on the left, wherever you're playing. So it's going to be a real challenge for him. But if Klopp seems to think that he can do that job in that midfield three, then I think he can as well. And he looked really great against Burnley. For that second goal that Mane scored, he was in that position on that right in a right position where he chested the ball down, he controlled it, laid it off for Trent Alexander-Arnold, who gave it into Mane. So he's definitely got the talent offensively. It's just defensively whether he can play in that position for this season and the future, because you got to be strong, you got to be aggressive, you got to be very tactical and knowledgeable as well to play in that position. If you look at probably the best midfield three that Liverpool have had under Jurgen Klopp, it's been Fabinho, Henderson, and Wijnaldum, three players who are tactically so astute and know the game so well, which is what helped us win so many trophies over those years. So for Elliott, he really has to hit the ground running, and so far it's been really good against Chelsea as well. He looked until he started to tire, understandably, of course, for a young kid playing in that kind of magnitude. It was he was a really good player, and he looks like he'd been playing again for so long for the club. So I have real high hopes for him this season, and again, someone who could potentially fill the void when Mane and Salah head off. Although he's been playing in central midfield for pre-season and the first couple of games of the season, he is very accustomed to playing out right wing. So yeah, really hope for a big campaign from him. And then for Liverpool overall, it's been a joy to watch him. Ever since Klopp came in, even in that first year, reaching those cup finals in the League Cup and the Europa League, and some of the results we had in that season, and then from then going on to securing Champions League in the first full year under him, to then going into the final, then winning the Champions League the year after, then the Premier League the year after. It's been a real roller coaster under him, and I can only be thankful for what he's given to us as Liverpool fans after all the years of difficulty we had under Hodgson, Brendan Rodgers, Kenny Dalglish, etc. So, and then last season, of course, we had such a difficult year. You know, no fans, not retaining the title, losing our unbeaten home record, and then going on to lose another 5 or 6 games after that. So I do expect us to have a much better year this season this time around. Whether we can win the title or not, I don't think so, but I don't mind that as well. Like, I think everyone is expecting City to win it again. You know, with the money they spend on Grealish and, you know, the incredible team that they already have. Chelsea now with Lukaku and, you know, being the European champions, and of course United with Varane, Sancho, and Cristiano Ronaldo. So being that full team, you know, as an outsider, and yeah, I'm not too fussed about that. You know, so often for so many years we've often thrived as the underdog. You know, if you remember AC Milan in 05, Barcelona in the second leg, Borussia Dortmund in the Europa League quarterfinal a couple of years ago as well. So when we're the underdog, we often exceed expectations, and everyone thinks that, you know, we have a thin squad, or, you know, we'll struggle if we do get injuries, but that's only an if. You know, if we don't get injuries, then we're as big a threat to anyone in the team. You know, 11v11. I actually don't think there's a better team out there than us. You know, we have arguably the best goalkeeper in the world. We definitely have the best centre back in the world. Our front three are fantastic. So we should have a much better campaign this time around. You know, injuries, potential injuries aside. So as long as we can at least compete for the title and then win something, you know, even an FA Cup, I actually wouldn't mind that this year. I don't think we won the FA Cup in 15 years. I think the Gerrard final in 06 was the last time we won it. So winning something like that, or the League Cup, and finishing second or third in the league would be fairly satisfactory for me this time around. And just making progress again, you know, showing that we still can do it under Klopp. Even and we still can do it with these proper players and some of the new youngsters coming in. So it's all about just making sure that we make progression in the Premier League this year. And then lastly, talking about the Champions League group. So a really fascinating group, I think is the right word to say. Of course, we've got Atletico Madrid, who I absolutely despise. You know, they knocked us out as the holders in 2020. That game still haunts me, man. We absolutely battered them. You know, we went 2-0 up, we overturned the deficit, and then Adrian, man, I'm getting PTSD just thinking about it. So, you know, they knocked us out then, and they knocked us out a long time ago as well in the Europa League in 2010. Again, very similar circumstance. We were 1-0 down after the first leg, then we overturned, they went 2-0 up, and then they got the away goal and then lost the game 2-1, but, you know, won on the away goals rule. So they're a real bogey team for us, and, you know, Luis Suarez will be coming back at Anfield. So you know, we all know what he's gonna be like. You know, he was he didn't act with much grace when he came with Barcelona. You know, he kicked Robertson off the pitch at halftime, and, you know, deliberately injuring him, which is very, very disappointing at the time. So he'll be back, and he'll obviously, you know, he's a winner. You know, he'll only be coming for the win. And even though they looks like they're going to lose Sal, they might be still strengthening. You know, I'm on Twitter at the same time, and I'm looking at potential news about Griezmann coming back on loan for the year. So having that attacking lineup of Suarez, Griezmann, you know, João Felix is still there. They're going to be a real force in that group. And perhaps most crucially, you know, something that's so important in Champions League is the third and fourth group stage games, because those are essentially a double header. So whoever you play in the third group stage match, you're playing the fourth group stage match, and we've got Atletico in those games. I think we're at their ground first and Anfield in the second. So we've got to make sure we win our first 2 games to make sure that we don't have too much pressure heading into those matches. And then also in our Champions League group, we got Porto. Again, a team I've got very, very happy memories of. You know, we absolutely battered them in the season where we got to the Champions League final and lost. You know, Mane got a hat-trick in their ground. I think Salah scored a really great goal as well, and Bobby Firmino was also on target. You know, we were 5-0 up after the first leg. That tie was effectively over before a ball was even kicked in Anfield for the second leg. And then the following year again, we drew them in the quarterfinal. Again, it was such a lovely, just a lovely match. You wouldn't expect that in the Champions League. You're in the competition where you're playing against the best of the best across Europe, but it was just a real stroll. We won the first leg 2-0. I think both goals in the first half, kept the clean sheet in the second, won 4-1 in the second leg, really emphatic. So it's been a really comfortable time against Porto. But that's why I think it could actually be a tougher match this time around, because surely not for the third time in a row they're going to just roll over and basically let us trounce them again. So I do think it will be a much tougher challenge this time around. And then lastly, AC Milan. It's great to see them back in the Champions League after so many years out of it. They strengthened really well this summer. They brought in Olivier Giroud, a serial winner in England and across Europe, and someone who's got a lot of experience for wherever and whoever he's played for. It's still got Ibrahimovic. Somehow he's still going. Fair play to him. I don't know how old he is now. Maybe 39, maybe even 40, but he's still flying. So that's great. They of course got Simon Kjær, the Danish captain, and a lot of good up and coming talent. I think Brahim Diaz. He used to play for Man City. He was quite a good youth prospect. And in general, I think they've been fairly active over the transfer window. So that'll be a really great match. And of course, the nostalgia. AC Milan, Liverpool, two of the great European clubs in history. They've won it 7 times. We've won it 6 times. So there's some real great history in there. And of course, all the classic matches we've had with them. They won it in 2007. That double from Inzaghi. Of course, our game in 2005. The miracle in Istanbul. So it'll be brilliant to go up against them again and make that trip to Italy. And of course, we kick off against them after the international break. So it'll be a really fantastic match against them, both home and away. So all in all, having Atletico, AC Milan, and Porto, definitely a tough group. Could have been worse. I think we could. We avoided some really tough teams. Really tough teams from pot 1. I think we could have got by Bayern Munich, which should have been a very difficult match. So we could have had it worse, but we also could have had it better. However, the saving grace that I have is that the last time we had a very tough group, I remember in 18-19 we had PSG in our group, Napoli and Red Star Belgrade. We lost all 3 of our away matches. We won all 3 of our home matches, just about qualified in second place, and we went on to win the Champions League. So who knows? It could be a good omen having another tough group stage. So anyway, that's been all the Liverpool news that I've been very happy to report and to cover on and to give you my opinion on. So I'll be back again very soon for another Liverpool episode, just talking about the latest news that will be happening. So potentially after the next set of Premier League matches, once the international break is over, talking about how the Leeds game will go, previewing the AC Milan match again in the Champions League, and just bringing you all the insight about Liverpool Football Club. So I hope you've enjoyed this live stream, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to bringing you another Liverpool stream very soon. Take care and good night.